If there's one thing to do in Belgrade, it should be this. Hello and welcome to another video. This time I'm taking you to a very important symbol of Belgrade, the Saint Sava Temple. And I want to start by telling the story of the man it is named after. And even the name has its own tale, because when someone becomes a monk, they leave their previous name behind and take a so-called monastic name, which for Saint Sava was Sava. However, he was born as Rastko to parents Prince Stefan Nemanja and a noblewoman by the name of Anna. These two had 3 sons, out of which the middle one later became the first Serbian king. However, Sava's father, Stefan Nemanja, was the founder of the dynasty that ruled the country for the next 200 years. And their dynasty is a big part of its history because, among other things, one of the monarchs from this dynasty introduced the very first constitution. The Serbian church was formed during this period, and the country also significantly expanded geographically, at some point even including parts of today's Greece. Anyway, Sava is special because he was so many things: a writer, a diplomat, a religious leader, and later canonized as a saint. I'm going to pause my historical talk for a moment because right here you can see this big mosaic of Jesus, just to give you perspective on the size of this place. The distance between Christ's eyes here is 2 meters, which is why you must come here in person, because the camera just doesn't do it justice. Also, it doesn't seem so on video, but a lot of the details on the walls as well as the ceilings are mosaics, not paintings. And whatever you see gold and silver looking, those are not just color, they're actually made from pure gold and silver. The chandelier in the middle is one of the largest and heaviest in the world, and by now you get that Saint Sava truly was a prominent figure, hence this larger-than-life church named after him. There's not enough time in this video to share all the great things one could speak of Sava, so let me tell you this story of how a prince's son gave up all the riches and glamour of royal life and opted for a modest and humble monk path. So Sava was the youngest of 3 sons and was given a province to govern at about 20 years old. There are records of him being kind, mild, and gentle, loving the poor, and showing no interest in fame, wealth, or the throne. Shortly after, Rastko, still back then, went to Mount Athos, which is an autonomous region in Greece governed by Christian Orthodox monks. To enter this region, you would need a blessing or a permission from the church. I'm not sure how to translate that, and I'm also not sure what the process exactly is since women aren't allowed in. However, I did go on a cruise around that peninsula and Mount Athos, where many of the monasteries can be seen from the sea. And yeah, it's just serene. The architecture, the nature, the calmness surrounding that place is just unlike anything I've ever seen. So this is where Rastko received his monastic name, and his father tried to persuade him to return to Serbia, but it ended up going the other way around. Sava ended up convincing his father and mother to also take their monastic vows, and his father then abdicated the throne. There is so much more to be said about his life, his trip to Egypt, Palestine, Armenia, and many others. purchase of 2 monasteries in the Holy Land, of all the gifts he both gave and received, of how he was regarded the father of Serbian education and literature, of how in the 1800s, January 27th was chosen as Saint Sava Day to be celebrated in schools every year until communists abolished it, but was then reintroduced in the 1990s, or how, despite his undeniable opposition to Roman Catholicism, he is still venerated as a saint by the Roman Catholic Church, and so much more. But let me speak a bit about the building itself, the church we find ourselves in at the moment. First of all, the reason for the location is primarily the fact that Sava's remains were burned here. Why were they burned? Well, Serbia had this 450-year period in its history where the Ottoman Empire tried to claim it. Remember that? Well, Serbs never really liked that whole idea, so they pushed back a lot. And a lot of those uprisings had some symbolism of its dynasty founded by Sava's father. Specifically in the Banat uprising in 1594, the people used the portrait of Saint Sava on their war flags, so the Ottomans retaliated by burning his relics in this spot. Almost 300 years later, Serbs defeated Ottomans, and a few more decades after that, in 1930, started building this temple, which was only completed in 2004 as one of the largest Orthodox cathedrals in the world. Now, when it comes to visiting, you'll want to know that the entrance is free. There's plenty of souvenirs you could buy both inside and outside. It is a spiritual place, so do try to not disturb others and be mindful of the rules, such as no flash photography, speaking loudly. Make sure to dress appropriately, which includes removing your hat. I've personally never seen anyone really police people going in and out. However, it's just a matter of being respectful. As for the surroundings, as can be seen here, it's quite a nice little picturesque park with many cute cafes close by to enjoy the view. Let me know in the comments if you've already visited or planning to. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one soon.